A mother-in-law may fall in love with her son-in-law. A quarter of men fall in love with their mother-in-law, according to our experts. Today, I want to talk about your Russian mother-in-law. In the case of our love, it is by no means this fact, as it is presented in slippery anecdotes. After all, the love between son-in-law and mother-in-law is so tender and pure that it often happens, that it must live the rest of its life happily. From the son-in-law's point of view, his mother-in-law, his own wife, who is older and has better body fitness, feels much better. On the one hand, she lost her girlish freshness, but in return she gained a lot of life experience. He stopped being funny and witty as well. This perfect ideal, who knows how to listen to her and cook dinner, encounters a young husband in an apartment. It won't be wrong to say that almost every son-in-law loves his mother-in-law a little bit, but true love comes only when the mother-in-law also falls in love with her son-in-law. In the eyes of the mother-in-law, her son-in-law is the hero of her beloved daughter and keeps her physically happy, which starts liking the son-in-law himself, which is another fatal mistake. On the one hand, she realizes that it could be worse and is trying with all her might to correct her son-in-law. Spending the same amount of time in this re-education process, the son-in-law becomes his favorite, gradually begins to like it, because soon it will already be the creation of his mother-in-law's hands. It's like a hand-knitted sweater that you already want to show off. At this point, mothers-in-law fall truly in love with their daughters' husbands, and then it finds opportunities. Often, the mother-in-law is the first to innocently flirt with her son-in-law, who gradually develops a certain desire in this fertile soil of her mind. It often turns into a love that neither the son-in-law nor the mother-in-law understands. This is the last love for the son-in-law for the first time with the mother-in-law. The matter is not even discussed between them. Both parties then spend their entire lives pretending that there was nothing between them. Well, what kind of mother would want to hurt the happiness of her daughter, if that were the case? A few braved their mother-in-law a second time, but these braves never met any resistance. Once caught in the storm, the mother-in-law becomes an impregnable fortress for the son-in-law, and the young cat surrenders to the cat like a breathless mouse. Judging by the descriptions of the number of my acquaintances, constant sexual relations with the mother-in-law occur at the most unnecessary times. Well, for example, a young wife ran into the store for 10 minutes for bread, and during that time her son-in-law got loose and kissed her mother-in-law. What's the point of running around the table if time runs out? But he'll catch it anyway. So the mother-in-law reads, where she is taken by surprise. The most interesting thing is that the sons-in-law speak about these relations only in general terms. They say it was and will be, and the mother-in-law finds not only the reason for their sin, but also the fun in their erotic revelations I am trying to describe. If I assume that every fifth young son-in-law has sex with his mother-in-law at least once, and every 10th does so more regularly with his mother-in-law than with his young wife, then what I say will not be wrong. These forbidden lovers sometimes even adjust work shifts at a convenient time, make full use of holidays, and you invent a hot situation every day for 5 minutes of fun. Well, to whom does anyone ask, is this relationship bad? The mother-in-law says, the son-in-law is fine, the mother-in-law is also getting used to it, and the young wife is directly benefiting. First, he doesn't know. Second, the husband does not start a mistress on the side, but all the best in the family. Third, he takes wisdom and experience of love from his mother-in-law and passes it on to his wife. Fourth, it is peace in the family, and not a trench war between son-in-law and mother-in-law, where all means are good, but for a long time you want a sex. But mothers-in-law can take their sons-in-law away from their daughters. This is a very rare thing. Generally, everyone is satisfied with this relationship, which ends naturally. Full, so to speak, of mother-in-law's maturity and her retirement. In the past 11 years in prose, I have not found more than 36 love affairs of our writers, where the young wife came to know about this strange relationship with her mother-in-law. Well, maybe a short scam. The storm between daughter and mother quickly subsided, and the relatives exchanged an apartment together. And there are stories of some sons-in-law openly living with their daughters and mothers. I blame the unqualified imagination of sexually overripe men, whose tongues are usually dirtier than dog shit.